Welcome to the Functional Medicine Foundations podcast, where we explore root cause medicine, engage in conversation with functional and integrative medicine experts, and build community with like-minded health seekers. I'm your host, Amber Warren. Let's dig deeper. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm here with a very magical person, Lois Payne. Lois is a highly qualified health and wellness coach with certifications in functional medicine, coaching, and heart math clinical practice. With over 9 years of experience, she has helped numerous clients achieve their desired results through workshop, retreats, and individual sessions. Lois is an author of her recently published, her very first book, My Emotional Intelligence, focusing on emotional resilience. She is passionate about maximizing the functional medicine process and empowering patients to improve not only their health, but also other aspects of their lives. In her free time, Lois enjoys exploring Idaho's natural beauty and connecting with the local community. We're so glad you're here, Lois. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad to be here.
So Lois is our health coach here at Functional Medicine of Idaho and at Renew Institute, and brings some really important just structure and support for our patients as we're asking them to make some really significant and sometimes difficult changes as we look to improve outcomes in our patients. It's, you know, when Dr. Holthaus joined our team and you pretty much came with him, he really brought a powerful force and really got us to believe in the whole foundation of health coaching. And you have helped us bring the science of how health coaching improves outcomes. And there's so much research on that and how we can support our clients. So let's maybe start there.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about the science and why your role here is so important.
Well, more and more, the science shows that being a health coach, having that long-term engagement with the coach, creates better outcomes, helps you reach your goals faster, and helps you hold and maintain them longer. It's really a way of taking what the providers are doing and then just help continue that so that they can actually get results. But science shows that it works. So basically, that's the short answer. It works, and the science backs it up.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite ways? Let's maybe think of some examples on if someone comes to me or sees one of our providers and we provide what we call lifestyle prescription for them. How do you come in and support them? What are some tools and resources that you use to support them in some of their sleep, nutrition, habits, stress resiliency? What are some of the tools that you use?
Well, education is a big tool.
Yeah.
So just helping them understand that there are, sleep hygiene kind of things to take a look at if they're having trouble with sleep. So as a coach, I'm working to these lifestyle things, these basics, tools for stress recovery, to handle stress, build resilience. I find that's a huge part of this, because you can't really make big changes until you kind of made peace in your limbic system a little bit.
Yeah. So that's a really good segue. Let's talk about that, because I think that's on the forefront of everybody's minds, this concept of stress reduction, stress resiliency. And I tell people, and I know you believe in this too, I tell a lot of my patients, we all have stress, and stress is a good thing in certain aspects of our life. The stress of getting up and performing or speaking on a podcast or having to perform in an athletic performance, but it's the absence of stress, or the absence of relaxation.
Exactly.
It really gets us
and I'm
into
glad
trouble.
you caught that, because stress is just part of our life. We're really a lot like an elastic band.
Right.
We're made to stretch, but we have to let it recover. That band has to recover. And then we can stretch again. So my grandma used to always say, stretch and grow. You don't want to stop growing. Right. That stretch is good, but you have to recover from it and create that sense of recovery or peace or harmony in the body. And then when you do that, we actually know from heart math, creating emotions that feel better, that you're actually changing the chemistry in your body when you do that.
So let's dive into that a little. Okay. Talk to me more about heart math. What is it, and why does it work, and what's the data behind it?
Okay, a ton of data, research. They really have led the way. So the Heart Math Institute's been around for about 30 years. So they're really cutting edge with all this. And what they have taught us, which is incredible, which is really the extra that adds on to other things that we know, is that our emotions communicate to our entire body. And whether they're emotions that feel good or they don't feel good, sends us on what I call either survival response or something that feels more like recovery. And so we have to learn to do that on purpose. So if we can be aware enough to shift or self-regulate into the emotional state that we want, one that feels better, then we're actually, it makes a big difference in our body. And you can think of it like this, like a survival response means the body's prioritizing survival.
Right.
So it's not going to prioritize sleep. It's not going to prioritize digestion or reproduction or brain focus. I mean, all those things. It's kind of like a house on fire when you're in survival response. But when we can shift by using better emotions into a state that feels more like recovery, then the body, which is brilliant, right? It knows how to run the body. Yeah. Then it can shift into the state where it can prioritize the things, well, compare it to the house on fire. It can prioritize remodeling the backyard and landscaping. Right. Or landscaping the backyard and remodeling the kitchen kind of thing. So the body can then take care of what it knows how to do, probably, right?
I view it as, I think it's really easy to try and talk to someone in front of you that's in a state of trauma, going through a really stressful situation, and educate and teach them the difference between that fight or flight or rest and digest, right? But it's a whole nother thing to actually have them feel what it feels like to activate that part of our nervous system.
Yeah.
And that's what you work them through, right? Because I can say all day and again, teach the difference and the importance of being a parasympathetic, but most people don't know what that actually feels like.
Well, and it's actually shifting over into what I call the secret sauce.
Yes.
It's shifting over into the ventral side of the autonomic nervous system. So then it's, you can go over into excitement or happiness or just contentment and peace. We've got to learn to shift over there. It can't just be dropping down into the parasympathetic. It's got to be shifting. We've got to create that internal state, that internal harmony. Kind of like if you saw a bear on the trail and you're running away from it because your body's made it so you can run really fast, and you get a couple miles down the trail, then you feel like you're far enough, and then you can stop and let your body recover. That's what we want. But we live in a world where we never feel like we're that far away. We never feel like we can stop. And then it becomes a chronic state.
Yeah. We talk a lot about the cell danger response and how your cell will just continue in this cycle if you don't pull it out. And there's different things that happen physiologically within the body at each different stage in this cell danger response. And it's pretty impactful when you really start to learn physiologically what happens to the body if you don't pull it out of that cycle.
Yeah.
And bring that resiliency into your life. It's pretty
Does it become a habit?
Yeah.
Is that what happens?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's pretty wild. Where does tapping play a role in that?
It's really complementary to heart math. So it's still retraining the nervous system or the limbic system. But instead of shifting into a feeling that feels better, we actually can stop a super hijack kind of. So, those times when you just can't settle down, you're just flooded with all that cortisol, all that stuff. It's a way of just tapping on the end meridian points of all your meridians and just kind of settling down your body. So I call it just like taking the air out of a balloon that's over full. Yeah. Just letting it recover.
Yeah. That's great. When you are working with a client who's struggling to be consistent, because I hear this a lot, it's I've fallen off the bandwagon with my nutrition, with my sleep, with my, and everyone thinks that we really seek perfection in our patients. And you're human. You're not going to be perfect. Like we're shooting for, I say 90-10. My husband's like, yeah, it's crazy. You're too hard on yourself and everybody. It needs to be 80-20, but regardless, I'm curious the kind of resources you use to help people with consistency with regards to, really specifically nutrition, sleep, exercise habits. How do you get people to build those habits into their life and be consistent with those?
Well, you start with where they're at, right? And you start with baby steps. So you can't hit all of them at once sometimes. If they need help with all of them, we choose the one that might make the most difference to the other areas as well. So we work with that. And then we build over time. We make small gains, and then we add more, and then we add more. So consistency is a really big thing. And if I can just bring back the limbic system too, that's a big part of it too. If we can calm that down, we have more chance of consistency. We have more bandwidth to handle it. When we are like over full with our stressful lives, that's really hard time to add new behaviors. So if we can give them some bandwidth or more capacity to handle,
well, and
then that will help them with consistency.
And the limbic system ties into so many things, right?
Yeah, it does.
A non-negotiable I know we talk about a lot of sleep. If we can't get them sleeping, it's really hard to get our patients to heal.
Right, because that's a terribly stressful state for the body, right?
So if you can get their limbic system calmed down, then they can sleep, then their energy and their brain fog is better.
Yeah, it's also
and then
interconnected.
they're digesting food. So their gut starts to heal because they can actually break down nutrients and fully digest their food. So it's all connected. I educate a lot of my patients on really your role, and I really also describe you as, I mean, you play such a vital role in so many different ways, but as also an accountability partner, right? Someone who you can check in with, and so I think you're really valuable in that capacity as well.
But I also tell them that I'm not the compliance officer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But that accountability, what they need. Some people need, they need different ways, right? There's the person that needs to check in every week, or there's the person that just needs the support, right? That's accountability as well. And knowing that somebody's there for them and they'll work hard.
That's so great. Yeah. We just finished I don't even know what round of Renew and Reset it is.
Well, we've been doing it for probably 4 years.
I think it's been 4
years. A couple times or more a year.
Yeah, and we do every quarter, right? We're now doing it 4 times a year.
3 or 4 times
a year. So it's a program we've been running, at Functional Medicine of Idaho for a while now. Tell us a little bit about that program, because you played a really integral role in the success of that program. So tell us a little bit about it.
I love that program.
Yeah,
it's so great. We just finished one just before recording tonight.
Cool.
Finished the last night of this last cohort. And it's been great. It's a 8-week nutrition and lifestyle program that really helps them uncover what their health path is. And that's our goal with this. It's eliminate certain foods, add in more meditation and movement and all those lifestyle things, better sleep. We have goals on all of that, but it's really fine-tuning it by the time they get to this point at 8 week, which tonight was, that they can go forward and kind of have an idea of what works for them. So fun results. We do it as a group. Yeah. People come down here to meet in person, and they support each other. So the big part of it.
Yeah. No, the community. I mean, we can talk about data on community and results when you're in a group too. It's pretty significant.
Yeah.
So the nutritionists are guiding them along with the elimination and what foods to include, right? To support health. And you're supporting them in some of those other goals that they're working towards.
Right. All the other lifestyle things. Okay. Yeah. The sleep, the movement, the connection, the whatever else is missing.
Yeah. What are some of the more significant results or just symptom improvement you see? What are some things that really stand out? Maybe with this last cohort.
Yeah. There was one participant who was able to get off all his medicine. And that was his goal. And
pharmaceuticals?
It was pretty awesome.
So
pharmaceuticals.
amazing.
So he was thrilled with that. Other people experienced weight loss. Some didn't, but that's success in itself because that actually points to something else.
Yeah.
So really good data. And self-efficacy is really my goal with this, that they learn by doing this and doing something hard like this, that they have the power to make changes in their lifestyle that's going to impact their health. So they grow in confidence too.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your journey into becoming a health coach, because it's a rapidly growing field. I mean, I get questions multiple times a week on, I'm looking at this health coaching program. Which way should I go? Are you hiring more health coaches? What does this look like? So I know a lot of our listeners would really love to hear about your journey and how you kind of got into this field.
I'd love to share that. Well, mine went back to kind of the previous career, and I was a personal stylist. So I'd started with personal design, and I helped women especially feel really good about how they looked. And then that kind of led into life coaching, and I got that certificate way back 9 years ago, because it just naturally led into wanting them to feel good about their life. And then that led into health coaching, which is when you feel good, like a healthy body, it impacts how you feel about yourself and your confidence, and how you feel about your life. So it just kind of evolved. It was kind of a fun journey.
That's so neat. So what's your training, your degree? And where's your degree?
Okay, my training is in coaching. I went to school in fashion merchandising, so I spent a lot of my career there. But then my my coach training is being certified with UC Davis as a professional coach. And then I added on the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. Then I added on RTT, hypnotherapy, and heart math. I just love to learn, and I just keep adding on fun things I want to know, fun things I think will help people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you probably, as you navigate this field and continue to work with more and more people, you realize what they need to get well.
Yeah.
That also helps you know what different educational path to chase.
Yeah.
Because you probably see those needs as you work with clients.
Right. And that really kind of led me into this limbic system retraining and hypnotherapy, because I would see that, as much awareness and support and accountability I could give, sometimes there were patients that just hit a wall.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get through it. And we clear the way, clear all the excuses, clear all the obstacles, and they still couldn't get through it. And so then it pointed to let's do this work so that we can get unstuck. So,
and you find, how long do you find the average person it takes? I mean, how many sessions to really help them get unstuck and help starting to get that limbic system retrained and calm down?
Everybody's different with that, and it depends on how big that wall is they have to clear, right?
Yeah. What's your favorite type of client to work with? If you have a favorite, knowing you probably don't have a favorite.
I don't.
I
love them all. I do.
And
I love the variety that I get.
Yeah.
So it's great. I'm working with kids.
Yeah.
And I think the youngest maybe is 9, maybe a little younger than that, with heart math and getting them to, know that it's, they can feel better at school, or they can feel better. They can do something about that. But then it's really fun to, every stage, don't you feel that way about your kids? You just love every age. That's kind of how I feel with my patients.
Yeah. Every stage. That's so neat. What is your favorite part about being a health coach?
Oh, wow. Gosh, I do love it. So my favorite part, that one catches me by surprise.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Take a few minutes. Think about it.
I love it when the relationship is ongoing and I know them for a long time.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe a misunderstanding that people come in with. They think, okay, I'm going to go to a health coach twice or something, and then I'm good to go. And that's really not the right thinking. It's like having your first piano lesson and then going off on your own and thinking that you're going to become a concert pianist. That doesn't make any sense. So when those patients stay with me and I know them and we know each other, we have this trusting relationship, and then I help them grow. We go beyond the first goals and then we're on to the next, and it's this continued growth. I love that.
Are you tired of cookie cutter healthcare that doesn't address your unique needs? It's time to discover functional medical care designed to help you flourish. Introducing the Founders Membership at Renew Institute, where personalized treatment plans are at the heart of your wellness journey. With the Founders Membership, you'll gain access to a range of benefits tailored to support your health and well-being. Experience the power of personalized care and take control of your health with the Founders Membership at Renew Institute. Visit renew-institute.com/membership today and start thriving.
I want to hear more about, you gave me a copy of it, so I know about it, but I want you to explain to our listeners this first book that you authored and published.
Oh,
and the why behind it.
It's called My Emotional Intelligence. So it's really an emotional intelligence resource book. The reason I created this is because sometimes we don't have words for our emotions, and I think it's important to be able to communicate emotions, whether you're 4 years old or whether you're 94 years old. And so just having a fun way to do it and create a conversation with others and help people check in, because we need to be aware of how we're feeling, and a lot of times we just spend our whole life in our head, and we never really check in with that. But we know with heart math we need to, right? So it was a way of just creating a fun little, flip book to check in with how you're feeling, and either be aware of that for yourself or, communicate that to others. So pretty
So do
fun.
you use that with your clients?
I do, especially with the younger ones.
Younger kids.
Because helps them understand how they're feeling. And then the cool thing about something like this is that mimicry that happens when we see somebody's face. That's just how we're built as humans. And so when we see somebody's face, we mimic their expression.
Right.
And that helps us understand how they're feeling. So this is how we grow empathy.
Right.
So when we see a face, you know, you can try and mimic that. And it also helps you understand how that emotion might feel. So I think it's really important for emotional intelligence.
So on that topic of emotional intelligence, this is one that hits hard as a mom who was raising young boys during the pandemic. We spent 2, maybe 3 years covering our face.
I know.
As a health coach, what are your concerns there long term? And are you seeing, when you work with these young clients who lived through this, are you seeing some of these challenges?
I think we're seeing in general that increased anxiety across the board.
Absolutely.
Because when I came here, I thought, and I think the expectation was I'd be coaching to those modifiable lifestyle factors, most of all, the sleep. But what we found was that there was high anxiety level, and we needed to deal with that first.
Yeah.
And so, yes, covering the faces, I think it was a social experiment we're going to regret.
Yeah.
You know, where they couldn't see the faces to mimic them.
And children and adults.
Children and
Everyone.
adults, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope now that the masks are off, that, you know, we can catch up. I do believe in resiliency. We can catch up.
If some of our listeners don't have the ability to come and maybe see you and walk, and I've done it with you a couple times now, walk through the heart math or the tapping or the biofeedback that you offer, what are things that our listeners can do at home to start calming down, to let the air out of that over pressured balloon? Okay. What are some just day-to-day tactics people can use to help bring their cortisol down, to help with sleep, and just help calm down?
Okay, I love that question. First, though, I should say that they could meet with me on Zoom.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's still available too, right?
Yes.
So that's something.
Yeah.
But what can they do at home? Well, you know, it's amazing that breathing is our number one thing we need to do to live. So I think there's a message in that.
Yeah.
So let's breathe a little slower. Let's be a little more mindful. So adding in mindfulness, you know, for food, you know, just chewing a little longer, you know, chewing one bite at a time, or walking is beautiful. So going out in nature,
grounding, take
your shoes off. Yeah. Really connect with the earth.
What that does to bring cortisol down, but also to offset the effects of EMFs, right? We live in the society of these 5G towers, and we're always connected, and there's all these invisible signals that are really harmful to the body.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. I think it's just even 4 to 5 minutes of putting your feet on the earth without shoes on.
Yeah.
That can delete a lot of those.
You just need to connect with earth. So that's a really great one. And turning off all the screens, you know, just reconnecting that way.
Do you work with your clients on circadian rhythms?
Yes, we talk about that when we're talking about sleep.
Yeah.
Just letting them know, you know, sometimes the sleep goals are really get up in the morning, get outside. Just start resetting that circadian rhythm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can imagine that there's a fair amount of clients that come to you after they get our lifestyle prescriptions. And it's not just lifestyle, right? We give the supplement protocols and the nutrition recommendations. And sometimes it's a lot. Do you find a lot of people are really overwhelmed when they start in functional medicine and they don't know where to start or don't know how to start? Do you see a lot of those clients?
And they can be, but we have an amazing staff that explains the supplements to them and nutrition to them. So I love that this is a team kind of thing with the providers and nutritionists and the supplement staff, and those incredibly knowledgeable women there.
Yeah.
And then and that eases them.
Good.
So then when they come to me, there may still be that a little bit.
Yeah.
But we can work through that. And then we can move on to the other things, right?
Yeah.
So they really have this team that's helping them feel less overwhelmed, because it can be. Yeah, it absolutely can be.
No, it's. I think we as practitioners, we get so excited about it, and you too, right? So excited about seeing somebody with so much potential to change and so much potential to heal, and you just want to throw everything at them. But we're human, and so many people are still so new to this concept of functional and integrative medicine that it is just one step at a time.
Yeah, we saw that a lot. They just knew they wanted something different, right? But they didn't know that it was going to require behavior change,
right?
Making big changes, and how that was going to affect their family, maybe, or so a lot of holding their hand, helping them through.
That's a good point, bringing up the family. How do you handle maybe spouses that aren't on board, or family members, children that aren't on board, or someone living in the home, or a close friend that's not on board? How do you counsel?
Yeah, that can be
your
hard
patients?
for them. That can be hard for them. So, it's figuring it out with them because they're the expert in their life, right? They know what's happening, and then we explore that. That's just a coaching conversation where we explore it and then try and figure out something to do. And I really am careful using the word goals because I usually call them experiments.
Okay.
So that we can just try something out and see if it works.
Yeah.
And then tweak it.
Is that in an effort so that individual doesn't have to deal with failure if they can't reach that goal? Or I'm curious.
Well, so they don't feel like it's a contract when we really haven't figured out what's going to work for them. So I would prefer that when we find what works, that then we commit to holding on to it. That seems like a stronger goal.
Yeah. And that's just the beauty of personalized medicine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But, it's like when you say exercise, do you exercise and the patient gets a little tense and they feel guilty because they haven't been to the gym, right? So we use the word movement sometimes because it's not a trigger word. And I think goals sometimes can feel a little overwhelming.
Well, it's because we live in a society of hustle. Hustle.
Never stop.
It's not rest. It's hustle. Meet your goals. Everyone else is doing it. Why can't you?
Yeah. I want them to find the peace in that too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. You know this well, but I like to end my discussions with, and I know you probably have a lot to say here, but what, if you can offer any piece of advice, well-rounded piece of advice that you think makes the most significant impact or moves the needle the most for your clients, for our community, our listeners, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, it's working with those modifiable lifestyle factors, those 6 non-negotiables that you call it, right?
I do.
Getting sleep down, getting the nutrition right, managing, recovering from that stress, working on the environmental toxins. What did I leave out?
I think nutrition.
Yeah, getting that right.
Yeah.
Sleep, stress. So those, but to make progress on those, the number one thing I think we have to work on is the limbic system.
I think you're right.
To build the capacity to make the changes that
Calming
they need to
down.
make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that people can, I think some people don't even know where to start. They don't even know how to start sleeping. They don't even know how to calm down. They don't even know how to start to put healthy, nutritious food that comes from the ground into their body. Like, where do we start? And I agree. If you can get the limbic system and that cortisol down and get the adrenaline down, they can focus.
Yeah.
They can rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they can start to see change. And when they start to see change, then that just kicks in the motivation. They start to get a little energy and, oh my gosh, they're ready to take off.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, you play such an amazing and pivotal role in what we do and helping our patients just towards wellness and towards, becoming the best version of themselves. And we're so, so, so grateful for that.
Oh,
so
thank you.
for all that you
I'm
do
really
here.
grateful to be here.
Oh,
thank you, Amber.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lois. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to the Functional Medicine Foundation's podcast. For more information on topics covered today, programs offered at Renew Institute, and the highest quality of supplements and more, go to fundmedfoundations.com.